The sky of Durex Prime burned red with fire and smoke. Explosions shook the jungle floor as Commander Eli Voss moved silently through the thick trees. His armor was scratched, his helmet cracked, but his mission was not finished. He was leading a rescue team of 6 soldiers into enemy territory, deep into a ruined temple where a signal had been detected. The Draxer, a cruel insectoid race, had attacked this sector days ago. Many alien civilians had vanished, but one signal remained. Active, faint, but alive. "Still tracking the distress beacon," said Private N through the comms. "Stay alert," Eli replied. "We're not alone out here." Minutes later, they reached the temple ruins. Vines hung from broken stone columns. Statues of old alien gods lay in pieces. The signal was coming from inside. Weapons ready, they moved into the shadows. Inside, the air was thick with heat and dust. And then they heard it, a weak, whispering voice in their minds. A soft cry, not of pain, but of sorrow. "She's here," Eli said, adding the chamber ahead in the center of the broken room. Under falling rays of light, a figure lay wounded on a stone platform. Her body shimmered with a soft glow, silver-blue skin, long flowing tendrils where hair might be. Her eyes opened slowly, locking onto Eli's. She was not just any alien, Queen Syrexa of the Telnari, and whispered in shock. Everyone froze. Syrexa was royalty, a leader of a peaceful psychic alien race allied with humanity. Her presence here made no sense. Eli didn't hesitate. He rushed forward, kneeling beside her. "She's bleeding. Chest wound. No medical nanites active," he said, checking her pulse. "She won't survive long." Pulled out a human biogelic injector and pressed it to her arm. Telnari. Bodies were different, but he hoped the gel would stabilize her. Syrexa winced, then let out a soft, musical breath. Her hand reached toward him. "Do not fear," she whispered, her voice echoing both in sound and in his mind. "You are... warm." Eli blinked, confused. "I'm here to help. Stay with me." But the moment his hand touched her chest to apply the healing bandage, a strange glow formed between them. A pulse of energy passed from her to him and back again. His skin tingled, and for a moment, just a second, he saw a vision. A child, laughing with eyes like hers. And his. Then it vanished. "What... was that?" Eli gasped, pulling back. Syrexa smiled weakly. "A bond. Unlikely, but pure. Life chooses... its path." Before he could ask what she meant, footsteps echoed behind them, Draxer soldiers clicking. Hissing beasts with sharp claws burst into the chamber. "Form up." Eli shouted, pulling Syrexa into cover. A fierce battle broke out. Plasma bolts flew. Grenades exploded. N and the others held the doorway. Eli fired back with deadly precision, protecting the queen with his body. She looked at him with strange calm, her hands glowing faintly with power. Suddenly, a bright wave of Telnari energy surged through the walls. More Telnari arrived, glowing warriors in flowing armor. The Draxer were driven back. In minutes, the fight was over. Syrexa was taken by her people, gently placed onto a levitating stretcher. Before they left, she turned her head and looked at Eli one last time. "Thank you, human warrior. You saved more than you know." Eli stood silently, heart racing. He didn't understand what had happened, but it had changed him. 2 weeks later, human medical ship Hopewell Eli sat alone. In the medbay, reading the mission report, the data showed nothing unusual. A successful rescue, 1 Telnari civilian retrieved. No signs of illness, no injuries, but he couldn't stop thinking about that moment in the temple. The warmth, the strange vision, the child's laughter. He didn't tell anyone. How could he? Just then, his cum buzzed. "Commander Voss, you're requested at High Command. Urgently." "For what?" "A diplomatic development. Telnari delegation. They asked for you by name." Eli's eyes narrowed. Something had begun that day on Durax Prime, something no one expected. Commander Eli Voss stood in front of the large crystal doors of the diplomatic hall on Space Station Heliosark. The halls were shining, quiet, and filled with the scent of alien flowers. Eli had been on many missions, but this was different. He was nervous. The message had come 2 days ago. A royal Telnari delegation had requested his presence. Now that meant Queen Cerexa. The same queen he had saved on Durex Prime. 2 Telnari guards opened the door for him. Their skin glowed soft blue, and their tall, calm forms reminded Eli of peaceful oceans. They nodded politely. "Commander Voss, the queen awaits you," one of them said. Eli walked into the room. It was warm and glowing. Floating lights lit. The air and plants curled along the glass walls. At the center stood Queen Cerexa, dressed in soft golden robes. She looked healthy now, strong, calm, radiant. She smiled gently as he approached. "Welcome, Eli Voss," she said, her voice musical. "I'm glad you came," Eli saluted, "Your Majesty." "You requested me?" Cerexa stepped closer. "Yes, there is something important I must share, something personal." Eli noticed her hand resting gently on her stomach. Then he saw it. Body glowed faintly from within. And just below her chest, there was a soft pulse of light. "A child. With child," she said softly. "And the child is yours." Eli froze. "What?" Cerexa took a breath. "Our species reproduces differently. We do not join physically like humans. Our life forces connect during moments of extreme emotional or physical resonance. On Durex Prime, when you saved me your touch, your energy, your intent to protect, it was strong enough to create new life." Eli stepped back, shocked. "You're saying I fathered your child, ... just by saving you?" She nodded. "It is rare, almost never happens. But when it does, it is seen as a sacred bond." He blinked, trying to understand. "I didn't mean to. I didn't even know that was possible." "I know," Cerexa said gently. "But it happened. And now our people must decide how to move forward. This child is the first of its kind. Half Telnari, half human." Eli sat down, his legs suddenly heavy. "This is a lot." She sat beside him. "I did not call you to force you into anything. But I believe the child has a right to know their father. And you, I think, deserve to know your child." Eli looked at her. Her eyes were calm, glowing softly like stars. "What will your people think?" he asked. "Some will worry, some will celebrate. There are already arguments among my council. But I don't care about politics right now. I care about the child. About doing what is right." Eli nodded slowly. "I want to do what's right too." For a moment neither spoke. Then Cerexa touched her stomach again. "Would you like to feel the bond?" Kate extended her hand. Eli hesitated, then placed his hand gently in hers. A wave of warmth flowed through him. In his mind he felt something tiny, a spark, a light, a heartbeat, not a voice, but a presence, curious, gentle, familiar. His chest tightened. He smiled without meaning to. "That's my child?" "Yes," Cerexa said. "Your life force helped create them. They are part of both of us." He looked into her eyes. "What will you name them?" She smiled. "Telnari tradition says we must wait until birth. But I was thinking of something that blends both our cultures." Eli chuckled. "I guess Bob is off the table." Cerexa laughed, a soft, silvery sound. "Maybe. We'll decide together." Later that day, Eli sat alone in his temporary quarters on the station. His thoughts were spinning. He had gone from being a soldier to being a father in just a few minutes. He remembered the vision he saw on Durex Prime, the child laughing. It wasn't a dream, it was real. And now, his life would never be the same. A message came through on his datapad. It was from Cerexa. "Thank you for listening. Whatever happens next, I'm glad it was you, Cerexa." Eli read it twice, then he sent a reply. "I'll be there for the child. And for you, if you'll have." The planet Alaris Damu, homeworld of the Telnari, was like a dream from another universe. The sky glowed a soft violet, and giant trees with glowing leaves floated gently in the air. Streams of blue light flowed through the streets. The capital city was alive with calm energy, beauty, and peace. Commander Eli Voss stood silently inside the birth hall, a sacred chamber where Telnari children came into the world. The walls were made of living crystal, and the air shimmered with soft music that played by itself. Everything felt alive. He had arrived 3 weeks earlier, invited by Queen Cerexa to be there for the child's birth. The Telnari were curious but respectful. Some of them looked at him with wonder. A few looked with quiet suspicion. Still Cerexa welcomed him warmly. Now it was time. Eli stood beside Cerexa as she lay calmly on a glowing cradle of vines and light. Telnari births were not painful. They were guided by thought, breath, and energy. The royal healers stood nearby, their hands glowing with soft white light. Then suddenly, a golden pulse filled the room. A soft cry echoed high, clear, and peaceful. The child was born. Cerexa sat up slowly. One of the healers lifted the newborn wrapped in a cloth made of light and gently placed the baby in her arms. The baby had soft silver skin, but with slight human features, a small nose, tiny fingers with nails, and a soft patch of dark hair. Most striking of all were the eyes. One was glowing blue, the other a deep earthy green. Eli Cerexa whispered, "Meet your son." Eli stepped forward slowly, his heart beating hard. He looked at the tiny child in her arms, and for a moment, he couldn't breathe. The baby looked at him only for a second and blinked. A strange warmth spread through Eli's chest. Felt like joy, but deeper, like his soul recognized this tiny being. What will we name him?" Eli asked softly. "I was thinking of something from both worlds," Cerexa said. "What do you think of Kale?" "In Telnari, it means star between two suns." Eli smiled. "Kale, that's perfect." Weeks later, Kale grew quickly, as Telnari children do. Within a month, he was already crawling and exploring the palace gardens. His bright eyes watched everything with curiosity. He laughed often, and his laughter sounded like wind chimes. Eli spent as much time with him as possible, though the palace had caretakers and teachers. Kale always smiled the brightest when Eli was near. Eli carried him through the gardens, showed him how to hold small earth toys, and told him simple human stories at bedtime, even though Kale didn't understand the words yet. Cerexa often watched them from a distance, her heart full. "You are a natural father," she said one night as they sat together under the glowing trees. "I never thought I'd be a father," Eli admitted. "I always thought I'd die on a battlefield. But now, it feels right." Cerexa touched his hand gently. "You've given our people something new, something beautiful." But not everyone agreed. A meeting of the Royal Council, the Telnari Council of Elders, met under the floating rings of the crystal chamber. Cerexa brought Kale and Eli. To introduce the child officially, some elders bowed with respect, others did not. "This child is unlike any before," said Elder Tronis, a stern figure with narrow eyes. "He may be dangerous. He is a gift," Cerexa replied firmly. "A symbol of peace." "He is a hybrid," Tronis said, "and humans are still new allies. We must be careful." Eli stood and spoke. "Kale is not a weapon or a threat. He's a child, my son. I will protect him no matter what." The council murmured. Another elder, softer in voice, said, "Perhaps this child is the bridge we need. If the universe is changing, then so must we." The vote was split, but Cerex's voice carried the final weight. "I am the queen, I declare. Kale my heir, and Eli Voss his father, by heart and by bond." It was decided. Kale would live, not hidden, not in secret, but proudly as a symbol of unity between two great species. Later that night, Kayla sat in the nursery holding a sleepy Kale. In his arms, the boy yawned, his tiny hand curling around Eli's finger. Cerexa entered, her voice soft. "You were brave today." "So were you," Eli said, rocking Kale gently. "He's going to change the galaxy." Cerexa smiled. "Or at least two hearts." Eli looked at her. For a moment, they said nothing. Then he asked, "Do you think he'll be safe here?" "We'll protect him with all my power," she said. "And I know you will too." Kale let out a soft coo, and both parents smiled. Whatever happened next, they were ready. The warm breeze of the Telnari outer colonies carried a strange tension. Eli Voss stood on the balcony of the royal guest house, watching the soft purple sunset. His son Kale played nearby under the watchful eyes of palace guardians. For a moment, peace seemed real, but peace was fragile. That evening, Eli was called urgently to the council chamber. Syrinx's face was pale, her usual calm replaced by worry. "Kale has been taken," she said softly. "A rebel faction kidnapped him." Eli's heart stopped. "Taken? Tonight during the festival, our guards were distracted." Eli clenched his fists. "We will find him." The rebels were a small group called the Draxer Remnant, survivors of the old war, who refused peace. They saw Calais, the human Telnari hybrid, as a threat to their power. To them, Kale was a symbol of change they hated. Eli and Syrinx quickly formed a strike team. Humans, Telnari, warriors, and allies gathered weapons and gear. Eli felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. "This is not just about one child," Syrinx said. "It is about the future of our worlds." The trail led to the Dark Hollow, a series of caves in a rocky desert far from the capital. It was a dangerous place, filled with traps and hiding enemies. Eli led the team through the narrow tunnels. Every sound echoed, every shadow moved. "Stay close," he whispered. "We don't know how many are waiting." Suddenly a group of armed rebels appeared ahead, blocking the path. "On me," Eli ordered. The team moved fast, engaging the rebels with skill and precision. Eli's training and experience shone. Plasma bolts zipped past, but none hit him. He fought not just for victory, but for his son. Deeper into the caves, Eli heard a faint sound, a child's cry. His heart raced. "Kale," he called softly. A small voice answered. He ran faster. In a dim chamber, a small figure sat in a cage made of glowing energy. Kale's eyes were wide with fear. "Dad?" the boy cried. Eli rushed forward. The rebels guarding the cage fired. But the Telnari warriors shielded Eli as he smashed the cage controls. The energy field faded. And Eli picked up Kale. The boy clung to him tightly, trembling. "We're getting out of here," Eli promised. They retreated. A massive explosion shook the caves. The rebels had set charges to block the exit. Eli looked at Syrinx, who arrived moments later with reinforcements. "We need another way," she said, using her psychic powers. Syrinx opened a hidden path through the rock walls. The team escaped just before the caves collapsed. Back at the palace, Kale was safe. But Eli knew this was just the beginning. "We have enemies who fear change," Eli told Syrinx. "They want to use Kale against us." Syrinx nodded. "Then we must protect him and prepare." Eli looked at his son, asleep and peaceful. "We'll keep him safe," he vowed. The kidnapping had shown them how fragile their new family was. But it also made Eli and Syrinx stronger, united not just by duty, but by love. Together, they faced the future. The grand hall of the Helios summit buzzed with tension. Delegates from both human and Telnari worlds sat facing each other, their expressions serious. Flags and symbols of both species hung side by side. This summit was meant to decide the future. For Kale, and for the alliance between two great civilizations, Commander Eli Voss stood beside Queen Syrinx on the stage. Behind them sat Kale, now a bright and curious child with eyes full of wonder. "Today we face a choice," Syrinx began, her voice calm but strong. "A choice not just for our people, but for the future of peace and understanding." She looked at Eli, who nodded. "Kale is more than a child," Eli said, stepping forward. "He is a symbol, proof that two very different worlds can come together. But to make this work, we must be willing to learn, to change, and to protect." The crowd was quiet, but not all minds were open. An elder human delegate raised a hand. "Commander Voss, do you expect the people of Earth to accept an alien child, one who is not fully human?" Eli met his gaze steadily. "Kale is my son. I love him. I believe Earth is ready for this change. The question is, are we ready to protect him from fear and hate? A Telnari elder spoke next. Our traditions are strong. Some see Kale as a blessing, others as a risk. How can we balance heritage and progress? Sarixa replied, by embracing both. Kale will live part of his life on Telnar and part on Earth. He will learn our histories, languages, and ways. He will teach us what it means to be united. The summit debated for hours. Ideas were proposed, arguments made, but finally, an unprecedented agreement was reached. Kale would be raised jointly by Eli and Sarixa, spending time on both worlds. A special council would oversee his protection and education. Cultural exchange programs would begin between humans and Telnari to prepare future generations. After the summit, Eli and Sarixa walked through the garden outside, holding Kale's hands. It feels like a new beginning, Sarixa said softly. Eli smiled. It is, but it will take time. Kale looked up, his eyes bright. Dad, will I be a hero? You already are, Eli said. Sarixa laughed softly. A hero who brings two worlds together. Back on Earth, Eli introduced Kale to human life. The boy marveled at simple things, the blue sky, birds flying, and the laughter of children playing. He learned quickly, absorbing both cultures with joy. Kale made friends easily, his gentle nature and unique eyes drawing curiosity and warmth. At the same time, on Telnar, Sarixa taught Kale the ancient ways how to listen to the stars, to sense the energies of the world, and to use his growing powers wisely. One evening, Eli and Sarixa sat together, watching Kale sleep. The boy's face was peaceful, a mix of two worlds. We created something beautiful, Sarixa said. We did, Eli agreed, and we'll protect it no matter what. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Together, they could build a bridge that would last. 15 years had passed since the day Kale was born. The boy who once slept in his father's arms and played in the glowing gardens of Telnar was now a tall, confident young man. He had grown under two sons, raised by two parents from different worlds, taught the wisdom of both. Kale stood on the grand stage of Havenreach, a peaceful colony built by humans and Telnari together. Behind him, banners of Earth and Telnar waved in the wind. Round him sat thousands, leaders, students, travelers, and families. People from many planets had come to hear him speak. His voice rang out with calm strength. I am Kale, the son of Commander Eli Voss and Queen Sarixa. I was born from a moment no one planned, but I was never unwanted. My life is proof that love, courage, and trust can change everything. The crowd grew quiet. For too long, he continued, our worlds feared each other. Some believed peace was impossible. I am here, alive, learning, growing, because two people chose to care instead of fear. We must all learn to do the same. He paused. The air felt still, like the universe was listening. My dream is simple. I want a future where no child is judged by their blood, no parent fears for their child's place, and no one is left alone because of difference. In the crowd, Eli Voss stood tall. His hair had gone gray at the sides, but his eyes were sharp and proud. Beside him, Queen Sarixa watched Kale with warmth. Her glow was calm as always, but today it shimmered just a little brighter. He speaks with power, Eli said. He speaks with love, Sarixa replied. That is far greater. After the speech, many came forward to speak with Kale. Humans. Curious about Telnari ways, Telnari elders amazed by Kale's Earth-like honesty. And young hybrids who now saw a future they had never dreamed of before. Kale shook every hand, answered every question, and smiled at every child who looked at him with wide, hopeful eyes. One young girl asked him, Are you going to be king one day? Kale laughed softly. I don't know. Maybe I'll just be someone who helps others speak up. The girl nodded. You already helped me. Later that evening, Kale returned home to the family's quiet house near the edge of Havenreach. The stars were just starting to appear. He found his parents sitting outside, sharing warm drinks. You were amazing today, Eli said. Sarixa smiled. You've become more than we ever imagined. Kale sat beside them. I learned everything from both of you. Eli looked at the sky. Do you remember the old days, Serixa? Before he was born, when everything was war and fear? I remember, she replied. And I remember the moment it all began to change, when you touched my hand to save me, and something beautiful started without us knowing. Kale tilted his head. I've heard that story many times, but I still find it hard to believe I was created by a moment of kindness. Serixa looked at him. Not just kindness, connection. And that's what you're teaching the galaxy now. Eli placed a hand on Kale's shoulder. We didn't expect you, but we're so glad you came. Kale smiled, I think. Exactly where I'm supposed to be. Days turned into weeks. Kale traveled between worlds, helping build bridges where there were once walls. He met with human scientists and Telnari elders, sat with alien leaders and young students, and worked on creating a new academy, a place for children of all species to learn together. Though challenges came, Kale never turned away. With every new speech, every shared story, he brought more light into the galaxy. One day, Serixa and Eli sat on a quiet bench in the floating gardens of Telnar. They watched as Kale, surrounded by children of many species, helped them plant glowing trees, symbols of growth and unity. He belongs to the stars now, Eli said softly. He belongs to both of us, Serixa replied. And to all who believe in peace. They held hands in silence. It had started with an accident, a warrior's touch, queen's survival, and a child born from life's strange magic. But what followed was a journey of love, hope, and something far greater, a future worth watching, a future worth building.